expecting, but it's been hard to expect the norm here from this series so far. So let's see how it does happen here as we're about to jump into game number 2 right now of Afreeca up against SANDBOX. Let's hop onto the Rift here and see who is going to take the lead for game number 2. Here we go, back on the Rift this time around, as I feel like the Afreeca fans are a little bit more organized, whereas the SANDBOX fans still trying to get their stuff together. Hasn't been so long that they've been in the LCK here, Papa.
And the Afreeca fans, while they've been longer in stature, they haven't had a lot to cheer about. So just having a chance to come in and have their voices heard is always a really nice thing. It is the very, very standard Rumble setup with Comet, as you can see on the top side. But Kiin's first professional game on this Super Galaxy Rumble. Champion that Korea has not returned to recently. One that has seen a lot of priority in the LPL, LCS, every other major region actually, and in multiple roles. In mid lane it can work out very well. I think in Korea, if we continue to see so much Yasuo, I think mid lane Rumble with Ignite just slams Yasuo in the laning phase. So there is potential around that. Taste the Blood and Ravenous Hunter are the secondary runes there. Confirmation, Glacial Augment coming through on the Nico, so will be the AP, and that's the only build we've seen so far in Korea in summer season.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see the bottom lane here. Varus Nautilus can just shut down the Sivir Yuumi lane once again, but I definitely do want to take a peek into the top side and see how that one will be going with the Rumble first time for Kiin, with the Nico there, and how you would expect it to do pretty well. We've, okay, how about this? The flash forward as Dread now trying to get on top of the cat, but they did a bunch of damage to Yuumi, and then she just hops away.
What can happen even with the changes on 9-12? If you don't interrupt the W, you are getting out on that cat. So a lot blown there from Senan, and now he's a melee champion with no Ignite, not much lane presence. They'll get level 2 guaranteed from this, and that does mean that lane pressure is provided, but suddenly OnFleek, who's got a very reliable engage if he does enter this lane, has a target, and it's on the big anchor man. I just heard it. It's so loud. How can you not repeat it? It's so cute.
You just didn't strike me as the kind of guy to go for that meow.
Have you ever had a cat?
Yeah, actually, in my NA home, we had a bunch of cats.
An NA cat?
Yeah, 4 NA cats, if you will.
Which of them had the best name?
The first one was named Oron.
Rumble level 3-4. Marin's watching this.
Oh boy. And how do you get out of this one?
You don't.
He's going to try to flash here, but
when do you flash?
They're not even going to go for it, so will not even try to flash as he was way too far up the lane. Once again, perfect timing from the side of OnFleek.
I love how Rumble comes back in the meta and the level 3 Rumble top lane overextended gank comes back. We've seen it a million times. Over the LCK days, you don't flash. That's the problem, is that if you flash as Rumble, well, you're dead. So Jarvan just walks up, he doesn't throw out anything, he auto-attacks you, and there's no way out. So first blood goes to Summit. Actually, to OnFleek via Summit, so nice things there. But Dread's returning to bot side. Seems like just bot side control. He hopes for a Gromp. He doesn't find it.
Yeah, that would have been a curious dive, as it's Sivir with Flash still available and Exhaust on Joker. I don't think you're going to be able to do much, especially with Senan without his Flash.
We still didn't get your NA cat name. Give us an NA cat.
So the first one was Oron from Final Fantasy X. I don't know if you ever played that game. Because he has one eye. He actually had an infection and had to have one taken away.
That's a pretty good name.
So Oron, who wears an eye patch. As, yeah, I mean, we didn't really have to commentate this one. Let's see what he says.
오케이, 나이스.
나이스.
아, 그냥 죽이면 돼.
I heard
죽이면
nice.
돼. 아, 라인 계속 만들자.
He said you could just kill him. Yeah. Me and G-Sun on the same page. High five through the camera, G-Sun.
So after
Well
Oron,
done.
what else do we have?
Number 2 was, we wanted to name him Link, but my mom kept calling him Paul, so he ended up being Paul.
That's a very different name to Link.
You know? Yeah. I mean, it's interesting, too, because he's like a very young cat, very energetic, you know. If he could wield a sword, he would. That kind of feeling. Yeah, but we are going to have a gank potentially here. Summit does have his flash.
Pretty hard to get the kill. Rumble doesn't provide that much unless he hits double Harpoon in lane and Lee Sin doesn't have kick. If you look at the lanes, actually, it's later in the lane where you actually find advantages. Trying to trade flashes here. They'll get the trade a flash. That was the most they could get. There was definitely no kill potential there.
Absolutely.
So Oron and Paul, chilling, joined by a third cat.
So the third cat was Theo.
I'm seeing a trend.
Yeah, we're trending away from cool video game names onto very boring standard human names.
So what do we end on?
That was after I came to Korea. You'll notice the difference.
And what do we end on with the fourth cat?
The fourth one was Thor, but it was a female cat, so...
That is very confusing.
They changed it to something. Maybe Lady? I don't know what they call it now.
There's some NA naming for the NA cats there, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't satisfied with the latter half, but Oron was a good name. That was by my brother. He actually thought of it. We're both big fans of Final Fantasy X.
Well, I've said it a couple of times already, but I had a corgi named Rumble. That's the only named pet I had, so I'm glad that we had a bit of synergy going on with the video games at the start there. Don't know what happened by the end.
Yeah. And you're the one caster that kind of just refused to play any other game, so it doesn't surprise me at all that the name comes from League of Legends.
What can I say? I'll play Teamfight Tactics probably.
Does that count as
another
League
game?
Of Legends?
I mean, sort of.
Is it a League of Legends mode, or is it a standalone?
I don't know if anyone's decided. Riot made it very clear it is not considering it their new game, but that was kind of in a text form, and who knows what that exactly means, but it was said out loud.
That was uttered, for sure.
It was uttered.
But, I mean, it's so different from League of Legends, right? It's like a mod, so...
We wouldn't know. We're not playing it currently.
That's true, yeah. We haven't had the chance just yet, you and I.
LS is on his second 24-hour stream, I think.
He went for 24 hours and then 14 hours.
I'm looking forward to listening to his League of Legends analysis. He's going to have a lot of Teamfight Tactics analysis.
I know, he and I are casting tomorrow.
Make sure to ask him about Teamfight Tactics. In fact, it's probably going to be one of those casts where you're like ready on the league, but you're still very desperate to play Teamfight Tactics. And he knows all about Teamfight Tactics.
He made his own tier list already. Did you happen to check? Yeah.
I did see
What do you think about the V for Varus?
I got nothing about this.
That's the top tier above S. I thought it couldn't get any higher than that, but...
I want to see an S-tier gank. We're going to see some meetings of the mind. Uh-oh, zoning Q there from Dread.
That deserves 2 letters, N-A.
Come on, man. We can't make... I feel like we have, like, a maximum. You know how there's, like, 1 swear per, like, PG-13 movie?
Yeah.
We're not doing very well internationally, so...
I know, that's
we can only... It's 1 NA per broadcast. That's all we got.
It's definitely hard. We're definitely also losing the ability to call out other regions at times, as we're thinking about a bit of damage here on aiming. Chains of Corruptions will just sail out into the wind. But aiming takes a bunch of damage, as that was just an ult to force him out of lane.
And in very kind of wordless fashion, SANDBOX are up, close to 1,000 gold, 800 at the present. A lot of close things happening here, but we already talked about how Rumble would struggle down 10 CS. Not terrible by any means, but not going to be a priority lane. Azir actually does win the priority war against LeBlanc at a lot of levels. You need to start corrupting potion, because whenever you poke as LeBlanc, you're going to take some Sand Soldier damage, so a little bit of advantage there. But bot lane going better than expected after the trade, is mid lane not really a trade. W's in the face.
Oh, trying to force that soldier out. Nice little trade here as OnFleek and Dread are very nearby, both level 6 if any gank does come down here.
The lanes really do swing for Afreeca post 6 when Lee Sin comes in with his ultimate, and there is playmaking ability. The 4-6 was very little pressure from Dread, who's lying in wait.
Oh, and now trying to bait in the Lee Sin as Senan is nearby. Who's baiting who? As Afreeca were ahead of the play on that one. No action really happening, so just a bit of rotation as that Rift Herald is about to spawn.
Just an aiming, wave clearing, and not often you see a Yuumi on the run. And actually, Joker rushed Moke boots in this game. You sometimes see Yuumi snuff finish boots, so I should mention that this is a Yuumi with map pressure. You never, ever see this.
That's a lot of gold, too, to go into. I think it's 900
It's almost like,
total.
you know the meme every time Cassiopeia plays is with, no boots lol? Should the Yuumi meme be like boots lol?
I mean, it is, right? We're kind of lulling at this decision. I don't really get it. I mean, he was there for the mid lane pressure where they didn't really need him.
This cat's just going on adventures that the cats don't normally, Valdez. That's all we know.
This is a KR cat for sure, as no other region would dare go for this. As now we're going for the Rift Herald. Afreeca thinking about getting in here, but OnFleek going for the big Cataclysm as now Nico comes in. And they're just laughing at that Rumble ultimate, saying, nice job, buddy. That didn't do much at all. They get the 2 kills. And
Senan just ulted a Sivir with spell shield. I feel like that needed aiming to be throwing out his ult to work.
He's upset.
I'm upset also, Valdez, as we're going in.
And they're not done here as SANDBOX really want to extend their lead, but OnFleek takes a little bit too much damage. And the stopwatch very valuable this early on for these team fights.
I understand why SANDBOX went in, right? They just saw the Nautilus ult down, so they thought they could pull something off, but stopwatch gets some Bazinga values. Double stopwatch has been blown now between Varus and Nautilus, and that's just after the 10-minute mark. I feel like the Rift Herald fight kind of does herald my worry is that the Rumble kind of lack of synergy with the rest of the team in terms of team fighting ultimacy. Like, it could work, but it requires a lot of angles. You kind of see a lot of precise things being needed. Meanwhile, Jarvan ults, that creates a terrain, and then Summit dunks it down. It's kind of very straightforward there. And SANDBOX can play side lanes very comfortably. So I feel like Afreeca needs to convince us in some of these plays. They don't get the Rift Herald. They do actually take the first Drake of the game. It is a Cloud. And sorry, I misspoke. The Rift Herald was claimed even if the team fight was lost by Afreeca Freecs.
It was a good smite by Dread, I think, as we'll take another look at this.
So in these moments, we don't get the alert that actually went to 1 health on the Rift Herald. That's why I missed it there.
Who even took it? Could have been the Rumble.
It could have been a stiff breeze, actually. I'm not 100% sure on that one. Coach H-Dragon feeling pretty great about this one, as he always is. I love how steely.
I love the audio.
Everyone else is.
Yeah. No, yeah, everybody else is just kind of like... They got the one coach that's already pulling off. Where are you going, Joker? What is... He's got the boots, right? He's trying to get away as he's going to be kicked in the face. Nice boots, lol. Says Dread. Not sure where he was going, but I guess he was really trying to make the use of that extra movement speed.
I like the big cup of haterade you just sip from with your nice boots, lol, play-by-play call. Well, I mean,
I'm not a big fan.
I'm not
honestly.
a big fan of Rumble into top lane Nico, to be honest. This is really painful because he doesn't have to go on hit build, and he's already 3 turret plates into the lane in just a second.
I mean, they saw this coming, right? I don't think they thought that the Nico flex into the mid lane or somewhere else was going to happen. And then they were like, you know what would be good into this? Rumble. And now he's down 20 CS and the level. So we'll see how that does happen. If he can actually come back from here. He's not even going to go for that penetration. Has to go for Merc Treads just to survive up against that Nico.
Just want to talk for a second about the equalizer timing there. It was at 13 minutes 10 where he took out an entire wave with the equalizer, something we see when a Rumble's about to be turret dive or something like that. While he was under no threat, he did that so that there wouldn't be multiple minion waves crashing into the turret for there to be a potentially even 3rd turret plate, and it looks very likely that it will only be those first 2 turret plates because of the equalizer. That's actually a 200 IQ equalizer, even if it seems in equilibrium to be a questionable time to hold.
Just Kiin things. He knows what he's doing. He's got his timings down. Can't really blame him for that. Doing well in a not-so-good circumstance as we're looking for Dove here. But Dove just on the hunt, able to place down a very deep control ward in the red side jungle.
Dove pokes out and eventually will take a place in the side lane. Not a TP LeBlanc, champion that is a little bit more safe in that lane. Nico continues to push. Dreads searching. First kill was easy. It was a Yuumi with no base stats behind her. See what happens here.
Spotted on a ward moving bot side. They have 2 control wards in a pretty good spot, but you're not going to avoid all that vision. And OnFleek just standing here as aiming. I don't understand what it is about these 2 players trying to use their abilities against the Sivir when she has her spell shield up and then missing anyway.
aptly named as aiming. This is the one I would go for on the play-by-play there.
Yeah.
Some of the synergy between the Nautilus Varus, you know, whether it was the attempt on the Sivir in mid lane or that one has been off, is a bit of a nice hello. Cup of water thrown in the face of Ucal, below 50% HP.
Telling him to wake up. So OnFleek has been hanging around this bottom side for quite a while. There's no Drake or anything, but this turret did take a bit of damage earlier on, so perhaps they're going for that.
There is the turret play confirmation. Only 2 for the Nico in the end. Couldn't get that standing gold in the third. 3 already for Ucal in mid lane after some roams. A lot of people lying in wait. A lot of ships in the night here around the bot lane. Very obvious lane for Afreeca to play around because they have very high single target damage and guaranteed engage if Nautilus begins it. They're going to be warded away with Aiming's ult still on cooldown.
They're just so fast. The Ghost Joker combination that I think it's going to be incredibly hard to get on top of them, especially when you have OnFleek just kind of camping your lane for the majority of this game.
And if you're wondering why we're seeing some more unique top laners, first Rumble of the LCK this week versus Sejuani in the first game. Speaking of Rumble,
even without that vision, able to land the combo, trying to get that flash to happen. And here comes Dove, and Kiin is 1v3, caught out. He's going a little bit too deep into the enemy jungle.
the bot lane camp ends, and there's a kill to be found on top side. Ucal's going to try to ride in the minion wave here. Dove's actually pulling the minion wave to stop them getting auto attacks on it.
That's really cute. Is it going to matter, though, as everybody's down here, and now everybody's rooted. But we're trying to get on top of this LeBlanc to flash on in, and they will get it. But OnFleek in the back, he's going to be denied as the double kill comes in, and Ucal says no. And now the Nautilus is going to go down, but trades with the Nico. They will absolutely take that trade every time.
Aiming gets the outplay as well, gets to kill the Nico where he stands. Looked for a flank teleport on low health because it all looked like it would line up. It doesn't. SANDBOX take multiple losses, and that's a big win for Afreeca Freecs.
That was a pretty incredible trade here as we're going to take a closer look now.
And it's almost like the smart move from Dub to try to pull the minion wave into the final chapter, baited SANDBOX. Like, wait, they're standing in the line. Nico can blow them up, and there were low health bars to understand that. The snipe in the back line was LeBlanc, and the thing they didn't consider was if the turret does go down, the Sun turret just gets set up straight away, and suddenly multiple different areas are out of position.
I loved that Burst Divide, where Ucal's just like, no, I'm going to save my support. There's not much you can do after the Jarvan induced his entire combo. So definitely a team play there overall. Even Dread flashing in to get the LeBlanc low enough for aiming to finish her off.
And while he hasn't had fun with the Chains of Corruption, he has a boatload of items right now. He has already 2 big items and soon-to-be Berserker Greaves behind it. So this is a very powerful aiming. And you look at SANDBOX's comp and you say, Jarvan, Nico, maybe they can do a number on Varus. And in the late game, with the movement speed, you can just rush in from different directions. But if he stands and fires, he will be doing huge damage. May not be under the most pressing threat if Jarvan can't close the distance.
And the Varus pick came out relatively early, was picked 3rd, so in the 2nd round for the blue side, alongside of the Nautilus in the bottom side. That's after they saw the Yuumi and the Nico. They said, you know what's good against Yuumi? We're going to play the Varus. The laning phase was actually in favor of Ghost and Joker, but afterwards, once they grouped up, Aiming has been able to get a lot of work done.
You can just stay out of interaction range. That's usually the right way to go for laning phase, right? She's so unaccountable with her ability to leash and the prowling projectiles trolling you wherever you decide to stand, that they were able to pick their moments largely and stay relevant. But Sivir's also got a farm, and Sivir is a win condition in and of itself. We like the team comp from SANDBOX. The game goes on, should have a lot of options if it's not poked out by something like the Varus and the Azir. So given all of that, the game is very finely balanced. I'll take a game with no meaningful gold lead between 2 of our best teams in Korea at 20 minutes.
I mean, they were fully even, absolutely even, whatever you want to call it, in the gold. So looking like a very close game here, and it is going to be Aiming's chance to redeem himself after the last game where I wasn't super satisfied with the arcane chips from the side of his Ezreal.
And what we can say about aiming is that if you think back to games where he's had to be the primary carry, he's probably tripped up more, as this is a lot of damage already onto the Rumble. He's probably tripped up more than most of our other AD carries. I can think of at least 3 or 4 games in his career already where he had a lot of kills, but they couldn't convert that, and he would make a positioning error or not be able to get the damage required. So I would say he's not the most trusty investment in a league where you have the likes of Deft, Ruler, and other hard carry AD carries.
So Summit with that damage, able to push the very weak bottom side turret. Afreeca making their own rotation to the top side, but meanwhile, SANDBOX trying to get a 2-for-1 here, looking to push the mid lane, but it is very hard up against that Azir. So not much damage done as the rotation was already coming in from Afreeca. And top tier 1 for bottom tier 1 will be the trade.
Pushing turrets, even with Varus Azir, is such a nightmare. It's the flat AD Sivir build that's become very popular, going to the IE second for Ricochet clear. The Nico famously strong at the wave clear as well. LeBlanc has some time, she can intercept the wave and double distort on it, so getting pushed and actually taking down objectives in a position of power, because right now Afreeca do have the momentum as we speak. Isn't trivial, and maybe just setting up for an Infernal with a level 13 Rumble is kind of their best hope.
Yeah, so kind of chilling here. We did not get nearly as exciting Drakes in game number 2. We got 3 Cloud Drakes in a row, but we will have the follow-up of the first Infernal of game 2. 2 of them in game 1, as Spell Shield going to be baited out there by Senan, who confidently walks forward and just dares Ghost to get in range.
About a, what, 16-second cooldown when you add in the 20% CDR. Comes through from Essence Reaver, so we'll just leave the lane and bide his time. Good timing on this Sun turret, because it does allow Afreeca to have by far first rotation to the Infernal spawn. They've got all the vision in place. They might catch Summit!
Well, Summit, this is not going to be your brightest moment. Can he flash away? Ooh. Yes, he will, but caught out there in a rough position. Now SANDBOX looking to turn it around, but Afreeca identifying that they were too deep in there, and will just go for that flash.
Summit not reading the map correctly, got out. Yumi spreads to LeBlanc. Summit's still here. He's stuck around, but he will be spotted on a wall. They'll turn on him again, potentially.
Yeah, looking for this one, and now he doesn't have his flash. Not much to say about that one, as on vision with that one ward. And with that pick, that just means that Afreeca pick up a free Infernal Drake as their third of the game.
Very, very greedy for Summit to stay and try a second flank without teleport. He had a ward that just timed out towards the minimap around the Raptors of Afreeca Freecs. He could have teleported to, kept it alive, and gone for that. Instead, he tried to stick around in an area where they have no priority. So just really, for a second time, being stubborn on this flank, loses SANDBOX Gaming the first Infernal of the game.
Yeah, just a little bit too greedy there, as you mentioned. Trying to get in position, going to easily shut him down. But his team's still very even in this game. It is only a 1,000 gold difference. With that one kill in the Infernal, it's not like Afreeca are going to be able to rush off to the victory and take this one away. They still do have that very strong Varus, who is just sitting here in the mid lane and absolutely comfortable and confident to farm very far up the lane with all the help from his friends.
And you can see from the items what a team fight for Afreeca looks like. It's an attempted dive onto Varus, Emperor's Divide back, and then 2-item Azir and more than 2-item Varus, just free hitting and killing people as they try to gap close. Because right now, the LeBlanc actually doesn't have 2 items. She's behind in the item timing. And while Equalizer doesn't have that much oomph behind it, it's only one instance of flat pen and working towards the Liandry's Amaryllinomicon kind of utility damage duo. Rumble has just a cheaper build towards relevance than a lot of champions, so the extra items on Summit only matter if the flank comes off, whereas Rumble, with its huge ult range, can do things. So right now, it's really about Afreeca starting an objective, SANDBOX choosing the wrong engage to them, and Afreeca just turning it around and baiting an objective like Baron really sets up for a big Afreeca team fight.
Well, they have the flag from the side of Jarvan, but Afreeca just stubborn about it. They're going to continue on. They have Azir and Varus, and they're pretty fed. Senan going to try to knock up the Jarvan here, and he's going to be able to get in, but the kick gets him out of the pit, and he won't be in range for that smite, and down it will go to the side of Afreeca as a huge setup goes to them, and Senan, still on the run here, is going to go down to Joker, but a very noble sacrifice indeed.
Absolutely, of any Baron to lose, that is absolutely the one you want. The finesse at which he was able to disengage OnFleek and be in smite range. Watch the replay here. You've never seen a Lee Sin play quite like this. OnFleek is trying to EQ into the pit and gets kicked out, and they claim the objective. It's insane.
Oh, Dread is so good with his mechanics.
It feels like every Lee Sin play has been done at some point, but never one like that.
Didn't quite hear what Ucal said. Not sure if Ji-sun got the read on that one, but it seemed like he was amazed. It was a big relief that they were able to actually get that one.
That's an understated point.
Yeah. He sounded quite relieved, so it makes sense.
Here are the two brawling partners, OnFleek and Dread.
Dread just thinking about it, but not going to make that Lee Sin play, as he already made the one Lee Sin play that should get him the MVP of this game if they do end up winning. As now moving forward, Dread going to be caught by the LeBlanc, but so is the Nico. Kiin on the outside is going to throw that down, and look at the burst damage just come down on the two of them. And that was all aiming and Kiin together, just able to smite them from the skies, as 2 kills and Afreeca are on a roll in this game.
This Baron buff is getting them huge inroads. They should break the base on the first Baron. And this is from great play from Afreeca. It looked tricky for them from the drop, but they're making it work in very impressive fashion, forcing that game 3 we all want to see.
Dove just kind of hanging around. Not much that he can do here against those Baron minions. Ghost can't be in 2 lanes at the same time, and Ucal is a pushing monster. So with 2 members down, it's going to be incredibly hard for SANDBOX to do much against this. They're going to forfeit the mid lane turret to Ucal, but then they are just going to go for a back, as actually a lot of poke damage did go down onto a couple of the members of Afreeca.
So much has changed so quickly. There's almost no gold lead now. The 2,000 odd gold lead for the Nico is gone. The Rumble is staying competitive. Watch the replay on the damage here. So this chain of corruption does hit, and after the shield goes down, it's just leading with an equalizer perfectly placed. No terrain to go out of. Instant explosion. Summit joins his top laner in the Grey Health Chamber. Grey Chamber, I should say. No Tom Kench in this game. And now Afreeca, they're just looking to break that base. They didn't do it on the bot side. They did temporarily reset, but they got so many turrets. A 4-turret lead.
As now we're trying to bully the Jarvan again, as Dread just laughing in the face of the LeBlanc, as she can't do anything. The flash is going to get that response out of Ghost, but that will make this push quite strong for the side of Afreeca after taking out OnFleek again.
Up on the bot side, pokes, but can't do any damage to Kiin. He's been a bit behind in LeBlanc items so far this game, and it's hurt them. Anti-Veil up on Ucal, can't assassinate him. Trying to walk to the side, trying to buy time. 15 seconds for OnFleek.
Right, well, here we go, trying to get that Nico engaged, but it doesn't quite catch aiming on the backside. But the ricochet damage, they gotta be careful. Look at the low health bars. They do get the Sivir, though. And Dove trying to do the AoE damage, but immediately gets shut down, as Afreeca once again will be the victors of another fight.
Tried to pull off that creative distort play, doesn't come up. He's another casualty. They walk away once again. The base not broken, but Afreeca Freecs add to their gold lead. They're starting to open a meaningful one here. Watch the replay. You're right. With all those ricochets, if Ghost had stayed alive, maybe that team fight victory for SANDBOX would have been possible.
He just barely got knocked up, and he was trying to skirt outside of the equalizer, but aiming with one last say in the fight. But take a look at these health bars, and then Dove trying.
Flash distort interrupted. Q also there. Everything lands. Afreeca ready for it. They scouted out the flash play before Dove even pulled the trigger.
These young guns in League of Legends nowadays, a lot of them here on the team of Afreeca, their mechanics and their just immediate response is unbelievable to watch sometimes. You can really only appreciate it in slow motion, but they're doing it in real time.
And the youngest of all of them in Senan, right? This guy's September 2001 birthday, so he's very, very young gun, but that's what Afreeca's ceiling always was going to be. It's why we saw the roster in spring and we said, wow, this team is bursting with potential, but they became the sum of what they weren't in spring season. They seemed to be a little bit burnt out by the Afreeca Freecs kind of training regimen. I Love Uv was always very big on practice first, practice first. And in summer, so many interviews with No Fate talking about allowing the players to express themselves, to have a bit more fun than they were, be a bit more uplifting of an environment, and you actually embrace moments like that the players are capable of. The results, they're starting to follow.
This guy's on a roll. See if they can continue it here as the Sun turret going to be the proving grounds for the side of Afreeca, just daring SANDBOX to come on in, as now they are in a very substantial gold lead, just trying to clear out as much vision and put on pressure before this Baron does spawn in about 5 seconds here.
And the Baron we already mentioned was one of the areas where this tricky to execute teamfight comp from Afreeca really were set up to succeed. And SANDBOX, understandably, behind in vision control, not able to walk up. Now, Summit is level 16 and has a lot of items, so his ult could still potentially do a number. But he's being scouted at every turn ever since that Drake play when he was caught out.
He hasn't been too effective, honestly, on the Nico, but he is level 16. No wards to speak of around this Baron. Afreeca have been very meticulous about denying as much as possible, but there is one in the Baron pit for now.
We talked about how we wanted to see kite-back plays from Afreeca to turn around engages. They also have items to complement that. More Malmortius, Banshee Veil on their 2 consistent damage carries, a Zonia's, a Hex Drinker. They seem to understand they'll take some damage, but they know their turn potential is insane. They walk up, want to break this inhibitor. Hard for SANDBOX to do so much other than fully engage.
OnFleek from behind, trying to get that AoE damage. They bait out the ultimate from the Nautilus. Here comes OnFleek, able to dodge actually a bunch of abilities. He's still waiting there on the flank, but not wanting to pull the trigger just yet. As he is, okay, Dread on the chase here, but doesn't quite have that energy, but he's gonna kick him in, and the follow-up's gonna be good as Dread with the stopwatch, but the flash on in as Nico with the huge damage. Trying to get it done as once again the distortion, this time not going to be interrupted, but it doesn't matter as Ucal is still alive, and SANDBOX in that one desperate fight are not able to do enough.
Fishing for that big play, but the moment that Sipper walks up to try to back it up, killed where she stands. Afreeca Freecs will win and force the game number 3.
It's exactly what we expected and exactly what we wanted after these first 2 games. I can't wait to see how this one will be closed out as Afreeca will pick up game number 2 and tie the